The more I see things like this, the more I think it's almost imperative they add Julio Jones if they even want to believe they could be anywhere close to what they were last year.
So in an effort, as we kick off the Tennessee Power Hour, to go a layer or two deeper than just saying, Julio Jones, are you worried about his injury history in 2020? Do you think the Titans can make the trade? What's the value? Do they have the cap room? What would it take to restructure Ryan Tannehill? Let's just go a layer or two deeper in an effort to really see why the Titans are not only the Vegas favorite, why they need to make the trade for Julio Jones. Early in the season is what I'm going to reference here from last year, the 4-0 start, the first quarter of the season. You can say, you know what, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. The Titans needed their unbeaten start to get where they ended up, despite the loss to Baltimore in the postseason. And this first graphic that we'll reference is what they've lost. Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis. They start 4-0, and I'm going to highlight loosely what these guys did in that 4-0 start. Jonnu Smith led the team with 221 yards receiving. He led the team with 5 touchdown receptions. He led the team with 18 receptions. Corey Davis, second in yards, and he had a touchdown. He hauled in 15 catches. Smith and Davis combined accounted for 427 of the Titans' 1,004 total yards through the first 4 weeks. 6 of the team's 9 total touchdowns came from 84 and 81. Now add in this, and what I didn't add to the graphic is at the bottom right corner, specifically with Adam Humphries. We add in Adam Humphries when he was healthy, 15 catches, 136 yards, and a score. So in total, 56% of their offensive production in a 4-0 start came from these 3 guys. And I select those 4 games because they won all 4, and they did so at a time when Derrick Henry was not at his best. In fact, over these 4 games, Derrick Henry averaged 3.7 yards per carry. Over the final 12 games, Derrick Henry averaged 5.9. So Henry was not at his best. Teams were loading the box. And A.J. Brown, also not to the level that he ended up with. For the full season, the second and third pass targets are gone. 13 of their 33 touchdowns are gone. 1,432 of their receiving yards, which was nearly 4,000 passing yards, gone. And excluding Humphries because he obviously wasn't healthy, you're missing 2 critical pieces of that production. So when we reference Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis have not been replaced, you can say, oh, well, they brought in certain players. They brought in Reynolds. They drafted Fitzpatrick. They have Anthony Ferkser. Not the same. They have not done enough. And the offense takes a step back for a defense that needed to drastically improve. We can discuss how good the offense was, and ultimately it was not good enough in the playoffs. Baltimore did a great job corralling Tannehill, getting after him, and then the defense had its issues. My point, though, is I think we're almost undervaluing the value of Smith and Davis because we're looking at a total season structure and pointing to Derrick Henry's 2,000 yards, pointing to A.J. Brown being an alpha number 1 wideout, when it was these 2 guys that led the offense to get them to an unbeaten October, going into October when I realized they started 5-0. They beat Houston. And I'm going to break down Houston separate and apart from the 4-0 start moving forward because that's when I thought they started to show some cracks in the armor.
Defensively especially,
and then they lost 2 straight after that game.
Yep.
But the 4-0 start, Smith and Davis came up big in some really close games, 16-14, 33-30, 31-30, 42-16 is the Buffalo week.
You had a healthy Lewan as a factor here. He got hurt in the 5th game, I believe.
Yes.
And I don't think you should dismiss the Adam Humphries element either. Not huge numbers, but a reliable when healthy, which was not often enough. A reliable guy who sensed where the chains were, could get you a first down. They don't have that guy either. They didn't go out and find that guy either. So he's not been replaced. Like if I said, who's Adam Humphries on this team, a lot of people would say, well, who's the injured guy who doesn't play? I'm saying, healthy, who's the chain-finding slot guy, most people would say, well, now it's Ferkser. Well, he can't replace Humphreys and Smith simultaneously. So now you're pulling Batson up. You know, you're pulling guys into bigger roles, which is fine. But Cam Batson, I like Cam Batson. But, I mean, Cam Batson wasn't clearly ahead of Khalif Raymond last year, and they let Khalif Raymond go without a second thought, who those guys they could have kept as a restricted free.
Those guys are 1, 2, 3 touches a game.
Yes.
Like
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think that underrated what's lost. And then, you know, you're talking about a solid start there, which was a crucial piece to their season, a crucial piece to anybody's season. They finally weren't chasing, which we've talked time and time again after slow starts is an exhausting proposition to get back to 500 and then climb. And this year, you know, you would like for them to have some room for error for Todd Downing, who's going to speak in a little while, by the way. Because Todd Downing might need some time to figure some things out, and he surely is going to need some time to figure some things out if he's working with, after A.J. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Cam Batson, Nick Westbrook-Akina, who we all have a good laugh about because he's been written about as potentially their second wide receiver, which we find laughable. If he is a key guy for them, it needs to be a surprise, not a plan.
Right.
Well, great job with those stats, by the way. I've never seen
We're just getting started.
I've never seen it from that angle of what the Titans are missing. But I just jotted this down, just simple plus and minuses. Minus, just offensively for the Titans. Arthur Smith, Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith. Plus, Todd Downing, Dez Fitzpatrick, Josh Reynolds. Which do you take?
Yeah, it's no brainer.
Offense is much worse. I mean, I think just looking at that, face value, Taylor Wan is back, big help. They drafted a tackle, Radens, in the second round. Should be a help for the offense.
But I bet he doesn't start for 6 weeks.
But again, outside of that, I'm talking about guys that will touch the football, skilled playmakers, and one of the best play-calling offensive minds in football that's now a head coach. And you bring in Todd Downing, who may be the next Arthur Smith. We don't know. Dez Fitzpatrick, Josh Reynolds, that's not going to scare a lot of people. The more I see things like this, the more I think it's almost imperative they add Julio Jones if they even want to believe they could be anywhere close to what they were last year.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified every time Outkick 360 goes live. We are live weekdays, 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern, right here across the Outkick network. And while you're at it, like this video and let us know what you think in the comments below.